has been in lockdown.
The early hours.
This is DW News live from Berlin. Tonight, two announcements, one message. The UK and the European Union say there may be a link between the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine and rare blood clots. The head of the European Medicines Agency and its British counterpart today both said clotting is a potential rare side effect, though they continue to say the benefits of the vaccine still outweigh the risks. Also coming up tonight, Brazil records its highest ever daily death toll from COVID-19. More than 4,000 lives lost within the last 24 hours. Why has the coronavirus proved so deadly there? And life in prison. Turkey hands down dozens of harsh sentences to former top-ranking army officers accused of plotting the 2016 failed coup. Plus, would you volunteer to live in a cave for over a month? In France, more than a dozen people have signed up to do just that. We will find out why. I'm Brent Goff. It's good to have you with us. We start tonight with a setback for the world's most widely used coronavirus vaccine. The European Medicines Agency and its British counterpart today announced there is a possible link between the AstraZeneca vaccine and blood clotting in the brain. The regulators described the condition as a very rare side effect. But depending on where you live and depending on your age, the advice tonight is not to take the AstraZeneca shot.
Trying to put to rest any concerns.
First of all, I want to start by stating that our Safety Committee, the Pharmacovigilance and Risk Assessment Committee of the European Medicines Agency, has confirmed that the benefits of the AstraZeneca vaccine in preventing COVID-19 overall outweigh the risks of side effects.
The European Union's drug regulator, the European Medicines Agency, says after a safety assessment of the AstraZeneca vaccine, they are still encouraging people to get it. That's despite finding 169 cases of a rare brain blood clot after 34 million doses. The agency says while no clear link has been found, they believe the clots are caused by an immune response. As a result, the regulator will be listing the clots as a rare side effect of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
This vaccine has proven to be highly effective. It prevents severe disease and hospitalisation, and it is saving lives. Vaccination is extremely important in helping us in the fight against COVID-19, and we need to use the vaccines we have to protect us from the devastating effects.
It comes as UK authorities recommend that the AstraZeneca vaccine should not be given to adults under 30 where possible. But again, they stress the continued use of the vaccine.
Our review has reinforced that the risk of this rare suspected side effect remains extremely small.
The drug maker itself says the bottom line of the regulator's findings is that the AstraZeneca vaccine offers a high level of protection against COVID-19.
Well, our Europe correspondent, Marina Strauss, is following developments for us tonight from Brussels. Good evening to you, Marina. So we've got the EU being criticized for quite some time now for its slow vaccination rollout. How is today's announcement, how is it going to affect that rollout going forward?
The EMA can only issue recommendations. Health is actually a national matter in the European Union, so it's now up to the EU countries themselves to decide what they will do with these recommendations. And some of them have already acted before this press conference. For example, Germany has decided to suspend the vaccines for people who are older than 60 years. Belgium, for example, where I'm here at the moment, has decided today to impose a 4-week ban on the vaccine for people who are under the age of 56. So each country is taking a bit of a different approach here.
What about public confidence? We know that many Europeans are unhappy with the EU's vaccination strategy. Are they going to trust assurances that the AstraZeneca vaccine is safe despite these possible rare side effects?
I have to stress here that EMA and also many experts are saying it's actually very rare cases we're talking about here, and benefits outweigh risks. So the risk of a possible consequences of a COVID-19 illness are much higher than getting blood clots after getting a shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine in your arm. And AstraZeneca was once a golden child of the COVID vaccination world. It was rather cheap. It was rather easy to store. And yes, but now the reputation got worse. And yes, there are people in the European Union who say, I don't want to get this vaccine, yeah.
Yeah, and so what happens then if you've got people refusing to take the AstraZeneca shot? How badly is that going to affect the European Union's vaccination timeline?
It certainly does not make life easier here, that's for sure. But we also have to see that AstraZeneca has delivered far less vaccine doses to the European Union than announced. So it's not like there are a huge amount of vaccines lying around in the EU that no one wants to use. And some countries and experts also try to find, let's call it a solution to this problem. For example, to vaccinate older people with the AstraZeneca vaccine and younger people who seem to be more at risk with other vaccines on the European market.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing here in Germany at the moment, it seems. Marina Strauss with the latest tonight from Brussels. Marina, thank you. All right, here are some other developments now in the pandemic. A joint study by the World Health Organization and China has provided no credible answers about how the pandemic began. Scientists say more rigorous investigations are needed with or without Beijing's involvement. Iran has recorded its highest number of new infections for the second day in a row, nearly 21,000 on Wednesday. The surge has triggered new restrictions on movement in major cities ahead of the Persian New Year. And Morocco's nightly curfew will remain in place during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, when people gather after breaking their fast at sunset. It's part of government action to counter the viral variants. Brazil's COVID-19 crisis is getting worse by the day. The country has reported a record daily death toll, bringing total deaths to nearly 340,000. And the situation could even get worse. Brazil has just recorded its first confirmed case of another highly contagious coronavirus variant.
More bad news for Brazil. Over 4,000 COVID-19 related deaths within 24 hours. Another sad record. Patients are dying inside and outside of hospitals while they have to wait for treatment, for scarce ventilators, and frustration is growing. If they had properly prepared for this scenario from the beginning, then the same thing wouldn't be happening again. They should have prevented it from the beginning and it would have been better, but now it's not. I've already lost relatives to the coronavirus. I think the politicians should be more united. For months, President Bolsonaro has opposed strict measures to curb the virus and slammed state leaders who imposed tight restrictions. Even his own COVID-19 infection did not change his approach to the pandemic. With few nationwide measures in place, P1, a new variant of the virus, emerged and was able to spread quickly in Brazil, making it the epicenter of the pandemic again. Whether P1 has the potential to lower effectiveness of some vaccines still needs to be determined. Brazil also just recorded its first confirmed case of the highly contagious coronavirus variant, first discovered in South Africa. Forecasts by some epidemiological institutes show that, probably before July 1st, Brazil will surpass the 500,000 mark of COVID-19 deaths, rapidly approaching the total number of deaths of the United States, the country that had the highest absolute number of deaths. Brazil has been slow to vaccinate. On Wednesday, the Pan American Health Organization said the country needs access to more COVID-19 vaccines and called on other countries around the world to help.
Well, I'm joined tonight by Natalia Pasternak in Sao Paulo. She's a microbiologist, an author, and president of the Question of Science Institute. It's good to have you on the program. I mean, the numbers are really, really bad right now in Brazil. What is driving the high number of deaths right now?
Thank you for having me on the show. And really, it's really worrisome here in Brazil. I think what drives the numbers, it's a mixture of factors. It's first of all, the inability of the federal government to implement preventive measures from the start. So we have a denialist government that has been denying the severity of the pandemic and the need to implement restriction measures. So we haven't really done that in a federal way, in a national way. And this has really curbed all our individual efforts to try to implement mask wearing and social distancing, because when the federal government themselves speaks against mask wearing and social distancing, it makes the work of mayors and governors and state governors very difficult. And on the other hand, we are very slow to vaccinate because we don't have access to that many vaccines. And again, because the federal government really didn't do their homework and didn't purchase vaccines in an amount that would be required for our population.
Ms. Pasternak, you've described yourself on Twitter as trying to promote science and rational thinking over nonsense. Is that how you would describe the government's pandemic policy at the moment? Simply nonsense?
Unfortunately, yes, it's full of nonsense. The government speaks against preventive measures that are used worldwide and are confirmed by science, and promotes miracle cures like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, drugs that are no use to prevent or treat COVID-19. So, yes, there's a lot of nonsense going on promoted by the federal government themselves.
How concerned are you tonight about the discovery of the South African variant in Brazil?
It was bound to happen. Variants are bound to emerge in everywhere, and even without traveling, it's about evolutionary conversion. So we are going to have lots of the same mutations arising in different parts of the world, because that's part of the virus evolution. So it's bound to happen, and we knew that this was coming. And the more the virus circulates, the more mutations we're going to see.
All right, Natalia Pasternak with the Question of Science Institute in Sao Paulo. Ms. Pasternak, we appreciate your time and your insights, and all the best to you and the folks in Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, here's a look now at some of the other stories that are making headlines around the world. Local media in Myanmar reporting that at least 11 civilians have been killed in the northwestern town of Kale. It's where some residents had used homemade hunting rifles in their attempts to resist the military. If the deaths are confirmed, it will be one of the highest single-day death tolls outside the country's two largest cities, Yangon and Mandalay. Jordan's King Abdullah has broken his silence over a public rift in the royal family and told the nation that the worst political crisis in decades is over. It was sparked by an alleged plot involving his half-brother. The king's statement said that recent events had caused him shock, pain, and anger. The European Commission has hit out at an apparent sexist snub by Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Its President Ursula von der Leyen was left without a chair. You're looking at it right there, as Erdogan sat down for talks with her male European Council counterpart, Charles Michel, yesterday. The moment has been dubbed Sofagate on social media with the hashtag #GiveHerASeat. A Turkish court has handed down life sentences to dozens of former soldiers for their involvement in the 2016 failed coup attempt against Erdogan's government. A total of 497 defendants had been on trial since 2017 for attempting to seize the military headquarters in Ankara. It's expected to be one of the last mass trials linked to the failed coup.
The first judgments were handed down just an hour into proceedings. While many high-ranking officers received life sentences, some soldiers were cleared of all charges. Only the prosecution's lawyers commented publicly. Even now, we're still getting wind of people who want to stage coups. These prosecutions should be a lesson to them. The offenders have been given the harshest possible sentences under our legal framework. If we still had the death penalty, they would have been given that.
Welcome to The Business. I'm Alicia Barry. Coming up on the program, lights out. Thousands left with mounting debts for gas and electricity as COVID protections wind up.
We are anticipating that we will see higher bad debts, more customers in hardship programs.
And workers worry. Storm clouds gather over the Whyalla Steelworks as Sanjeev Gupta's creditors start chasing their money.
Will they have a job, when this all comes to an end? Is someone else going to come in and buy us? Are they going to continue to invest?
Sanjeev Gupta says a new backer for the Whyalla Steelworks, owned by his GFG alliance, is close, asserting multiple offers of finance are within reach. It's a mess.